Well, imagine just for a second, you're a small business owner, let's say in Kenya.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You're trying to import, I don't know, some essential materials from Nigeria. Seems pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, on the surface.
But then, bam! Almost 10% of your payment just disappears. Vanishes. Poof. Gone.
Ouch.
Just because of those pesky transaction fees.
Yeah, that's the harsh reality for so many African businesses.
It is.
Welcome to the very first edition of WeWire's weekly recap of key global trends and insights on macroeconomics, geopolitical shifts, currency movements, finance, trade, and top investment highlights.
With John and Wendy.
All right. Buckle up, everybody, because we're diving headfirst into a topic that's really making waves. African SMEs and the whole world of cross-border payments.
It's a fascinating landscape for sure.
It is. And we've got our trusty source, the weekly Stay Wired report, jam-packed with insights on African markets and global trends.
Always a great read.
This time, though, we're laser-focused on one section that really caught our eye. The struggles and the triumphs, really, of African SMEs doing business across borders.
Absolutely. It's a story of resilience and innovation.
And you might be thinking, okay, why should I care about this?
Yeah.
Well, imagine just for a second, you're a small business owner, let's say in Kenya.
Okay, I'm picturing it.
You're trying to import, I don't know, some essential materials from Nigeria. Seems pretty straightforward, right?
Yeah, on the surface.
But then, bam! Almost 10% of your payment just disappears. Vanishes. Poof. Gone.
Ouch.
Just because of those pesky transaction fees.
Yeah, that's the harsh reality for so many African businesses.
It is. And the Stay Wired report throws out this pretty alarming statistic.
Sub-Saharan Africa, it turns out, has the, how do I put this delicately, the unfortunate honor of being the most expensive region in the entire world to send money to.
Really?
Averaging a whopping 8.37% per transaction.
It's like a hidden tax just for trying to do business.
Exactly. A financial hurdle you have to clear right out of the gate.
So what's the deal? Why are these costs so ridiculously high?
Well, it's not a simple answer. The report kind of unpacks this tangled web of factors, but boils it down to three main culprits.
Hit me with them.
High transaction costs. We're talking about those fees that just eat away at your profits, currency volatility. Because who can plan a business when exchange rates are doing somersaults every other day?
Right.
And then there's this thing called regulatory fragmentation.
Regulatory fragmentation. Sounds a bit intimidating.
It's essentially, each African country having its own unique set of rules and regulations, like a giant maze you have to navigate just to make a payment.
Okay, so we've got these amazing, resilient African SMEs, but they're going up against these, financial Goliaths.
It's a real David and Goliath situation.
It is. But instead of a slingshot, our David's got fintech. And that's where things start to get really interesting. The Stay Wired report highlights how innovative financial technology, particularly stablecoins, is stepping in to kind of even the odds.
Definitely a game changer.
Okay, so before we get too lost in the crypto weeds here, can we just break this down a little? For those of us who, aren't fluent in fintech, what exactly are these stablecoins and why are they causing such a buzz, especially in Africa?
Sure. Imagine a digital currency, but one that's linked directly to a stable asset, something like the US dollar.
Okay, so it's like a digital dollar.
In a way, yes. And that link, that peg, is what minimizes the volatility that we see with other cryptocurrencies. Makes them more suitable for transactions and stuff.
So it's like having a digital dollar, but one that can bypass all the usual banking hoops and hurdles.
Precisely.
And the Stay Wired report drops this pretty mind-blowing stat. Stablecoin transactions actually make up a whopping 43% of LL crypto transactions in Sub-Saharan Africa.
That's huge. It really underscores how quickly African businesses and individuals are embracing this technology. It's not some niche thing anymore. It's becoming a mainstream solution.
So it's not just some theoretical solution. It's actually happening right now.
Right now.
It's amazing. The report highlights a company called Yellow Card that seems to be playing a key role in this whole stablecoin revolution. What's their story?
Yellow Card's a great example of a fintech company that's really thriving in the African market. They've built a solid presence operating in 20 African countries.
20? That's a lot.
And they're actively providing a viable alternative to the, sometimes, let's face it, cumbersome traditional banking systems. Facilitating those stablecoin transactions, making it easier for businesses, individuals to join the party.
So it's like creating a whole new financial ecosystem.
Exactly.
But wait, there's got to be more to stablecoins than just cross-border payments, right? I'm sensing there's more to this story.
Oh, absolutely. The impact goes way beyond just streamlining transactions. The Stay Wired report dives into some really interesting use cases. For instance, businesses are using stablecoins to hedge against inflation, which, as you know, is a persistent concern in many African countries.
Yeah, makes sense.
Imagine being able to protect your earnings from being, well, eaten away by inflation by holding a currency that's pegged to a more stable economy.
That's got to be a huge relief for businesses,
Mm.
especially those trying to, stay afloat.
It's a powerful tool. And remember those sky-high remittance costs we talked about earlier?
Yeah, painful.
Stable coins have the potential to, slash those costs dramatically.
Putting more money back in the pockets of families who rely on those remittances.
Exactly. Those remittances, which are often a lifeline for families, aren't subject to the greed, frankly, of traditional money transfer services anymore.
It's incredible. And this is why I love these deep dives. We uncover these stories of innovation and impact that, might otherwise fly under the radar.
It's eye-opening.
Speaking of impact, the Stay Wired report throws light on another really critical issue. Almost half of the adults in Sub-Saharan Africa don't even have a bank account.
It's true. A staggering 49% of the population is still excluded from the traditional financial system.
And that's where fintech solutions, particularly stablecoins, offer a real glimmer of hope.
They do. They provide a way for the unbanked to, participate in the economy, access financial services, build a more secure future.
It's like opening a door to a whole new world of possibilities.
It is.
But let's not forget about the existing players, the big guys in the financial system. How are traditional institutions reacting to this wave of fintech innovation? I mean, are they threatened?
It's interesting. Instead of seeing fintech as this threat, many institutions are recognizing the power of collaboration.
Oh, interesting.
The Stay Wired report highlights a great example. Ecobank, a major African bank, is actually joining forces with X-Transfer, a fintech company that specializes in cross-border payments. They're teaming up.
So we're seeing these two worlds colliding in a way, these established institutions and these nimble fintech companies, and they're figuring out, hey, we can actually do more together, right?
Yeah, it's a bit like combining, the wisdom that comes with experience with the energy of a startup. A powerful combo.
Powerful indeed. And the Stay Wired report points out that this partnership, specifically between Ecobank and X-Transfer, is laser-focused on tackling those exact challenges that we were just talking about, those challenges faced by African SMEs in cross-border trade.
That's right. They're basically trying to leverage Ecobank's vast network. They've got branches all over the place, and X-Transfer's tech-savvy, their digital expertise to offer more streamlined, more affordable, financial services.
It's a win-win for everyone involved.
Mm.
But this collaborative spirit isn't limited to just, one-on-one partnerships. The report mentions a really ambitious initiative called the Pan-African Payment and Settlement System, PAPSS for short.
Catchy, right.
It is. Can you break that down for us? What's the deal with PAPS?
Imagine a system that seamlessly connects banks and payment providers all across the African continent. That's the big idea behind PPSS.
Wow.
The goal is to basically make transactions within Africa smoother, cheaper, by cutting out those pesky intermediary currencies that always seem to add extra cost and complexity.
It's like creating a financial superhighway across Africa.
Exactly. Connecting economies and businesses in a way that's, it's unprecedented, really.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay, but let's zoom out for a sec. We've been, deep in the weeds of payments and all this technical stuff. But what does it all mean for the bigger picture? Why should someone, listening to this, someone who might not be directly involved in African trade or whatever, why should they care about what's happening with these SMEs?
That's a really good question. And honestly, the ripple effects are huge.
In what way?
When African SMEs thrive, the entire continent benefits. I mean, these businesses are the engines of job creation, innovation, economic growth, you name it. So by making cross-border payments easier, we're basically, unleashing their potential to tap into global markets, to expand their reach.
So taking the brakes off and letting them speed ahead.
Exactly. And it goes way beyond just the individual businesses themselves, right? It impacts the employees they hire, the the communities they operate in, the overall economic well-being of the entire continent. It's huge.
It's like a chain reaction of positive impact.
It is. And don't forget about the financial inclusion angle. Remember, we talked about almost half the adult population in Sub-Saharan Africa being unbanked.
Yeah.
Well, empowering SMEs with these tools, the stablecoins, the fintech solutions, it indirectly brings those financial services to the people who've been, shut out of the system.
So it's like a domino effect, but in a good way.
Exactly. Creating a more equitable, a more inclusive financial system where everybody has the opportunity to participate, to prosper.
This is amazing stuff. But, with all this innovation happening and it feels like it's moving at warp speed, what's next? What's the next chapter in this story of cross-border payments in Africa?
Well, that's the million-dollar question, isn't it? The Stay Wired report is generally pretty optimistic. They see a lot of positive momentum, but they do acknowledge that there are still some hurdles to overcome.
Like what?
Regulatory frameworks, for example. They need to keep pace with these technological advancements to make sure things are stable and secure.
Yeah, you don't want to, stifle innovation with too much regulation, but some guardrails.
Exactly. It's a delicate balance. And of course, there's the need for continued investment in infrastructure, especially in rural areas where, access to technology, to financial services can be limited.
That's a crucial point. It's about making sure everyone benefits, not just, those in urban centers.
Absolutely. Bridging that digital divide is essential. But overall, there's a real sense of optimism. There's a willingness to try new things, to collaborate, and that's really encouraging.
I'm with you on that. It feels like we're at this tipping point, witnessing a positive transformation in real time. It's pretty exciting.
It is.
As much as I love basking in the glow of all this positive energy, I think we're going to have to start wrapping things up soon.
Time flies when you're, dissecting global financial systems, right?
It really does. Before we go, let's just recap, the key takeaways from our deep dive into this world of African SMEs and their adventures, I guess you could say, in cross-border payments.
A wild ride, for sure.
We started by kind of, peeling back the layers of the challenges they face, right? Those high transaction costs, the unpredictable currency swings, the complex regulatory landscapes.
It's a lot to deal with.
It is. But then we saw this beacon of hope emerging, right?
Yeah.
Fintech innovation with stable coins, stepping up as this powerful tool to simplify things, to reduce the cost of sending money across borders.
That's like a breath of fresh air.
It is. And it's not just about the payments themselves, right? We talked about how stablecoins are helping businesses safeguard their earnings from inflation, making it cheaper for families to receive money from loved ones overseas, even, creating a pathway for those who are unbanked to access these vital financial services.
The impact is far-reaching.
It is. And we saw how important collaboration is, right, with those traditional financial institutions like EcoBank. Seeing the value in partnering with these fintech companies, these agile companies like X-Transfer, to create solutions that are really tailor-made for African SMEs.
That's the future, in my opinion.
It feels like it, yeah. And let's not forget about those grand-scale initiatives, the PAPSS of the world, working towards this truly interconnected African financial landscape. It's about fostering greater economic integration, empowering businesses to thrive on a global scale.
It's an incredible time to be following all of this. But before we, sign off completely, I wanted to leave our listener with just one final thought to chew on.
I'm all ears. What's the thought that's going to keep our listeners up at night?
We've seen how stablecoins are shaking things up, how these fintech partnerships are, really changing the game. But what else is out there? What other, groundbreaking solutions might pop up in the next few years to really push this even further? To revolutionize financial inclusion, to empower businesses, not just in Africa, but, everywhere.
Yeah, what's next?
What role will blockchain technology play? Artificial intelligence? Or maybe something we haven't even, dreamed up yet.
You're getting me thinking now. It makes you realize that this is really just the tip of the iceberg.
It is. We're at the very beginning of this financial revolution, and it's exciting to think about what the future holds,
It really is.
Yeah.
Well, on that note of endless possibilities, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive.
Time flies.
It really does. But, the conversation doesn't have to end here.
Definitely not. Keep those questions coming, stay curious, and who knows, maybe you'll be the one to come up with the next big thing.
To our listener, thanks for joining us on this journey into the heart of African innovation. Until next time, stay wired to the world.
And stay curious.